Hi there, it's Michelle here. I hope you're doing really well today. This is kind of a last minute idea I had that keeps popping into my intuition, so I'm just going to go for it and we'll see how it turns out. Last week, or maybe a week and a half ago, I posted this comment question because it was sticking in my mind like it is again today. And here's what I said. Who feels like they are meant to do more in this life, but you're just not sure what it is or what steps to take? And then I said, comment yes or no. And pretty quickly we had 700, over 700 people say yes. I don't think we had one no in this group. So I know this feeling so well. Okay, so let's talk about it. And I don't know if you know me very well. Like, I don't, I like to read and learn new things, but I like to read and learn things that I can apply to my life and make it better. Like, I want measurable tools, measurable techniques, and measurable tactics. I am pretty, like, I don't know if that's grounded or like I want to see real measurable change in my life, and I want to see real measurable change in other people's life. Hi, Paula. Hi, Carrie. So if we have this feeling, so I'm asking you, do you have the feeling like you're meant to do more in this lifetime, in your lifetime? Yes or no? Colleen, Deborah, good to see you guys. I don't know what we're going to do. I'm not winging it. I'm just trusting my intuition here. And I want to create some real ahas or measurable change with this idea of, do you get that feeling you're meant to do more with your life? I need you to type in yes or no. And I know this is like a last minute Facebook Live, but let's just see who shows up because those are the people I'm meant to help if we can do it. Susan says yes. And then I know Paula and Carrie, Colleen, I know a lot of people that are here. Sharon. Okay, so this feeling of you're meant to do more with your life, do you have any ideas on what that would be? You can either put yes or no, you have an idea, or you could stretch yourself and share your idea in the chat. Danielle's here. Okay. Sharon said she's had this feeling her whole life. How does that feel to have that feeling your whole life, Sharon? Paula says yes, absolutely. Paula, do you know what that is? I think you do, but write it if you're willing. Deborah says, yes, let's get our mojo. I love it. Danielle says, yes, much more. Danielle, I know you, so I know you know what that is. Do you mind sharing it here? Nicole says, yes, all the time. Colleen, yes. Colleen, I know you too. I'd love to know if you have an idea of what that is. And I know I've tapped into you several times now, so I have an idea of that. Bonnie's here. Bonnie says, hi. Catherine says, yes. Patricia, yes. Susan, no. Susan, is it no, you don't have an idea of what that is? And that's totally fine. Um, Loanna, did I say your name right? She said, I think we have this feel. I think we all have this feeling. Kelly just joined. Kind of spiritual healing, Nicole says. Danielle says, I know she knows what she wants to do. It's just a matter of getting organized and get a following. Sharon says, upsetting. Yes, it's a tough feeling to live with, Sharon. Okay, so let's start here. Let's go like this. We have the feeling, right? You're meant to do more. You either know what you're meant to do, and that's probably a good place to be in. Maybe you just need some guidance or steps to go in that direction or clearing some stuff. That's true for most of us. Or you have that feeling and you have no idea. Does that make sense? So we've got two roads here. So let's go with, I want to address both, and I want to do it like with real tools, real words that are going to help people, because I know this feeling. I had it, I don't know, as long as I can remember, but I definitely had it when my kids were little and I was a stay-at-home mom, and I had great kids and a great husband and a great life, but I just had this feeling inside of me, and I would pray to God. I'm like, I appreciate my life, God, but I got a feeling there's something more for me. I didn't know what it was. I had no idea. And this, I want to speak now to the people who have no idea what it is, because I remember that feeling. And what I got from my intuition or God or source or my guides, whatever you want to call it, the universe, is start noticing what you like. Start noticing things that are interesting to you. That was the first piece of, like, the first seed that was ever planted when I literally prayed, like, I have this feeling, give me some guidance. So what I started to do, and this sounds so silly, but it really was the beginning of me to where I am today. So when I got that download or that idea come to me, the things that were presented in front of me were nothing exciting. Like, I was a stay-at-home mom. I could walk the dog, empty the dishwasher, or read a book. Like, those were the three things that I could think to do that I had off. Those were the opportunities that were presented in my mind. So then I would just look at those. I would look at those three things and I would pick the most exciting one first. And it was never chores for me. It was always like doing something like walk the dog would have come first because I like to be outside. Reading a book would come next. And then emptying the dishwasher would be third. But as I trained myself to start looking at my choices and making the decision on picking the thing that brought me the most joy, even though honestly, none of those brought me a lot of joy, but I trained myself to look at the thing that brought me the most joy first. Does that make sense? Those days, I did that consistently, and then other things would come up. I had trained myself to start seeing things that were interesting to me. And then for me, like, I got these opportunities to learn from, like, about intuition and psychic work and, like, just hang out with different groups of people. I would not have seen that if I had not trained myself to do the most and see the most interesting things. Those were like little teeny breadcrumbs. Does that make sense? So if you have that feeling that you're meant to do more, that technique works. What is in front of you today? And this, you pick the one that's the most exciting first, even though maybe none of them are the most exciting. Like, walking the dog is not that exciting, but that's the only, out of my choices, that was the best one. So I did that first. I trained myself to start seeing interesting and exciting things. Life opened up so much to me when I did that. I became kind of a diva. I mean, only inside, not on the outside, but like, I became a little addicted to doing things that were interesting. Then I learned to do things that were exciting, and I met awesome people. That was the path to my life purpose, just doing interesting things. Does that make sense? Okay, that's the one area. Let's switch gears. Now we've got people here who said, I get that feeling that I'm meant for something more, and I know what it is. Okay, for you people, that's great too. I mean, one's not better than another. That's just the way it is. So for those people, what I have found, because I'm in that space too, if you're on the path of what you're meant to do, like, I know I'm meant to do more, and you know what that path looks like, are you walking down that path? Yes or no? If you're walking down that path, that's awesome. If you're seeing that you're not walking down that path, there's usually a reason for that. And it's usually things like beliefs about ourselves, beliefs about what we're capable of. All of us have a little bit of not good enough in probably from our culture and the way we're raised, that needs to be cleared. There's usually some blocks and fears that need to be addressed around if we're not moving on the path of what we're supposed to be doing, or more. If we're meant to do more in life and we're not walking in that direction, there's usually a fear, block, or belief standing in the way. Does that make sense? Okay, I got to catch up on some of these comments, because I want to make sure. Again, I always want this, your time and my time, to be, I don't want it to just be airy fairy, although I love that stuff too. I want it to be real, measurable, and you leave here going, I had an aha, I have a direction, I have a shift. I want there to be a change. It's my oh, what's the word? It's kind of like my deal with God. I'm like, God, I really want to help people, but I don't want it to take a year. Like, I want us every time we're together to create something awesome and that lives get better. I get emotional when I think about that. Okay, let me see what the comments are here so I don't miss anybody. Val says, I'm not sure what it is. David says, hello. Hi, David. Paula says, it's a scary thought. Okay, so that's perfect, Paula. Then just know that you've got some fears, blocks, and maybe beliefs that just need to be looked at. And it's okay. Nicole says, I feel like I'm ready though. Okay, you must have said something else, Nicole, which is great. Good. Step into that feeling of being ready. And then what steps would you take to go in that direction? Loanna says, to the point, exclamation point. Jessica says, yes, it does. Awesome. Nicole says, yes. Okay, Colleen says, having a hard time balancing mom life and my spiritual path. Yeah. Okay, Colleen, do you mind if I say something about that? I don't know what I'll say yet, but let's go into that. Because I know Colleen, she's in Intuition Circle. So we know each other deeply in that group. So Colleen, what would you think of this? Again, I always want to give real tools and practical things because I really think those are the things that move the needle. Have you looked at mom life and spiritual path? Like, can you define that more? Like, in my intuition, I'm getting your mom life, of course, is part of your spiritual path. How are they separate in your mind, and how can they be woven together? I would love to hear what you say about just that thought. I feel like they're more combined than you're realizing. Okay, think about that, Colleen, and type in if you want to. Nicole says to Paula, small steps in the right direction are still progress. That's right. And I'm the worst. I'm going to tell a big fault of my own. I'm working on this though. I always look at where I'm going, like I always see like where I want to go. But it's really important for all of us, like what Nicole just said, is to honor what you've done so far. Like, you've made it this far in your life. That's crazy. And I bet most of you are doing really well in so many areas of your life. That's a good thing. And I'm the worst at this. Like, I forget. I always want to think about forward. And sometimes to sit and look at where you've been and what you've done with your life and all the people you've helped and all the children you've loved and people you've loved, helped in all different ways. Like, to sit in that is pretty awesome too. Thanks, Nicole, for that reminder. Michelle, I said previously that I feel like I'm supposed to talk to people, groups of people, to lead in some way, but I'm not super comfortable in the spotlight. Yeah, I understand that, Paula. I have that problem too, or not a problem. I have that feeling too. What can I tell you about this? I can tell you what I do. I'll just tell you what I do. But I can talk to you more inside of Intuition Circle about this. I close my eyes. Like, I don't want to be on stage ever. I close my eyes and I picture myself on a stage and there's 1,000 people, and I let those feelings come up. Like, how you can feel people looking at you. And for me, I get a heat in my face, a heat in my body, like I'm going to pass out. And I just calm my nervous system while that takes place. Paula, you know about tapping, or anybody else, I'll tap on myself too to calm down my nervous system. And that's how I keep practicing being in the spotlight. But I don't know if that helps you. It will help you. And just trust All you have to do is calm down your nervous system. I know that's the case for you. Okay, let me know. I want you to try that and you let me know how if that works. Jessica says, I combine raising my kids by sharing my beliefs. My son is 7 and very gifted, very spiritual. My blocks are time and finances. I need to find a way to chase my dreams while paying my bills. I totally understand that, Jessica. When I was younger and my kids were littler and my finances were different, I had guidelines too. Like when I was following my interest, my highest joy in life, I had parameters around it. Like I have to be able to afford it. It had to be in town. I guess internet wasn't very, this is a long time ago, but internet access wasn't the way it is now. Things were like, I had to go places to meet people. So it had to be in my town. It had to be affordable. And it had to be at night when my husband was home. So I had some parameters around mine too. Colleen says, yes, definitely combined, but sometimes feel might be failing. My daughter needs to find mine. Does it make sense? LOL. Okay, some of it made sense, Colleen, and some of it didn't. Yes, definitely combined, but sometimes feel might be failing my daughter's needs. Okay, got it. To find my needs. I got it that time. Okay, yes. Can I tell you something, Colleen? I may have shared this with you in Intuition Circle, but when I was going after my interest and desires, I still didn't know what it was going to lead to. But I remember that feeling of I was kind of putting my kids on the back burner a little bit. Because I was doing things that I was interested in. But what I learned now that my kids are 8, almost 19, 21, and almost 24 now, my 3 girls, what I taught them was that what you're interested in is so important. Like, I was probably still like a martyr mom, like everybody comes before me because that's how my mom did it. But when I started doing that, like doing the things that were interesting to me, I think I broke the martyr mom cycle. I don't know why I'm calling it martyr mom. I've never done that. Kind of like, a mom who does everything for everybody else and is kind of dragging, like barely making it. I think a lot of us here are like that. I think I broke the martyr mom cycle by teaching when I would go do interesting things like mediumship and I would come home, my girls might be complaining like, I missed you. But then they'd go, what did you do? Did you talk to a spirit? Did you give a reading? Like they got so excited from my excitement. I taught them now. I see them older now. They are so good at doing things that are interesting to them. And I could burst into tears. I had no idea I was going to teach them that. So I hope that helps you, Colleen. Teaching your daughter that it's important to do interesting things. That leads to your life purpose. It does. Let's see. Lots of comments here. Darian says, that's my struggle. I'm very uncomfortable in the spotlight. Okay, we're empaths and sensitives, right? So we're extra sensitive to this kind of stuff. Our minds will go there and it'll stop us from doing something today, right? So I used to have that problem a lot. I feel like I'm telling lots of stories about myself. I hope that's okay. But I only teach through how it helped me. So that's why I end up telling my stories. Well, let me ask this first, Paula, and who else was that? Darian? Very uncomfortable in the spotlight. I'm uncomfortable in the spotlight too, but do you have to be in the spotlight to do the thing you love? Just answer that first. When I started doing intuition, when I started giving readings, when I started doing mediumship and things like that, I had that fear too. But it was like 10 steps ahead. Like I kept going to the greatest fear of being in the spotlight, giving a reading the wrong way and things like that. When I pulled back and just did the thing I needed to do today, which was like give a practice reading, reach out to somebody, ask them if they'd like a reading. Like when I just came back and did the one thing I could do today, it shifted me out of the fear of the big thing. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Jessica says, that's me for sure. Kathy says, yes, showing them it's okay to take care of yourself and find what's important for your growth. Yeah, No one taught me that, Kathy. I'm just lucky enough for whatever reason, when I was asking God for more and I got the idea of do interesting things, and then I did the interesting things, it was like a breadcrumb. And then I got a little addicted to doing interesting things. And then I was on my life path. I wouldn't have called it back then. So then I want to share this one last idea with you. This feeling of more, it's not, I don't, if I just sit in the feeling, I don't like it. I don't know how you feel. It's not a great feeling to live with. Since we're empaths and sensitives, I see a lot of similarities between us. Number one, we are super sensitive, right? We're empaths. We pick up on other people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions. I'm sure this isn't all of us, but I bet it's most of us. That skill you have is actually a gift. That skill of picking up on other people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions, that is actually a gift. And when you understand that gift, develop that gift, learn when it's appropriate for your health and well-being to use that gift, and when it's appropriate for the well-being of others to use that gift. Like when you start to really understand yourself, I think that's a big part of the life purpose of an empath sensitive. When I use my gift of being a sensitive to help someone else, like maybe a little bit right here with you guys, I don't have that feeling anymore of there's more for me to do. When I'm sharing my life any way I can help, connecting with you, that feeling's gone. I have a feeling of fulfillment now. Does that make sense? So I'm wondering if the feeling of I'm meant to do more is the same thing as I'm meant to help people. I'm meant to serve in some way. I'm meant to, and it could just be as a mother, as a wife, as a sister, as a daughter, or a son, male or female, doesn't matter. But if you still feel like there's more, you still have a feeling of more, like remember I was a mother of 3 young girls, but I still had that feeling of more. Now that I help people and I do my work, like I teach people psychic and intuitive development, I teach people how to heal themselves, I do different things. When I'm in that with people, that feeling of more is gone, and it's a feeling of fulfillment. So I guess what I'm trying to say to you is, what if that feeling of more means that you're meant to serve or work or to develop your empathic and sensitive abilities and use those to help other people? Could that be the case for you? Yes or no? I promised I was going to keep it super like tools and techniques, and I think that one got a little off track. Carrie says, I miss you girls in Intuition Circle. Awesome group. Thank you. We miss you too, Carrie. Come back when you're ready. Nicole says, helping each other. Yes. Jackie says, my son is 15 and I know he's a sensitive empath. We've never spoken about it. Yeah, Jackie, it would be really interesting when you're ready to have a talk with him about it. I think it's extra challenging for boys, I have found, to be sensitive souls. I just don't think it's in our culture. It's easy to be a sensitive male. It's not easy to be a sensitive female either, but harder for males is from what I've seen. Kathy says, yes, exactly. Josie, did I say that right? Josie? Marker, I have tried for years to cut off the information being sent and never received it as a gift. I'm 44 and I understand I am a service empath, but it's scary to want to help. I have tried for years to cut off the information being sent. Okay, so Josie, am I saying your name right? I hope so. Just that first sentence alone, I have tried for years to cut off the information being sent. That's, if you're meant to get that information and serve people with it and you're cutting it off, it's going to be super uncomfortable for you. Does that make sense? It's almost like it's denying a part of yourself. You're not going to feel whole and complete. And I know it's scary to think about like understanding how you're wired and learning about that, but it's weird. It's like the more you understand how you're wired and learning the skills to develop it, you actually embrace it. You get it. I'm trying to think of a good example of this. Maybe it's this group. Has anyone ever, oh, I can't think of a good example. This is a bad example and I don't want to offend anybody, but like, let's say I'm gay and I'm not, I have a husband, but it doesn't matter. Let's say I'm gay and I grew up in a straight family and my straight family says, Michelle, when you're older, you're going to fall in love with a man and blah, blah, blah. And I just follow along, but yet in myself and my body and my thoughts, it doesn't connect, right? And then one day I meet somebody and I tell them how I'm feeling and they go, you're gay. And I go, what? And all of a sudden it's a relief because I finally found someone who speaks my language. Does that make sense? I think Jossie, this could be for you. Like when you understand the language of how you're wired, all of this will make sense and you'll feel relief. I hope that the analogy of being gay was not offensive. I didn't mean it to be offensive at all. Rochelle says, I think what you're saying applies to me. I think feeling of more is also calling for growth. Amen. Yes, that's I'll bring that point up too. Thank you for bringing it up. That feeling like I know I'm meant to do more in my life, Rochelle is saying that's the call that you're ready for growth or that you're growing. Absolutely. I can feel that too. I also think it's a call to know more of your true self. And maybe that's the same thing as growth. Probably is. Okay, awesome. Okay, I'll take a few more here. Nicole says it's easier to work on understanding than to work on closing it off. Yes, it is. And then the end result is awesome. Right? The end result of closing it off is stress, anxiety, confusion, denying yourself. And then the outcome or the end of understanding yourself is like relief. Oh, and control. Like you understand how you're wired and you understand when to close it down and when to open it up when it's appropriate. Sissy says, I've been having more and more signs of a strong intuition that I keep ignoring. How do I tell what's intuition and what's just an anxious thought? I've been having more and more signs of a strong intuition. Okay, so just that sentence alone, I've been having more and more signs of a strong intuition that I keep ignoring. I would love to know more about that, but right there, it sounds like your intuition. The anxiety comes from ignoring it, mostly. Anxiety can also come from your intuition giving you a big vision of what's possible for you, and it's scary. So I'd love to know more about that, Sissy. Jossie says she understands. Awesome. Kathy says, yes, still learning my abilities and knowing it's a great gift and not a burden. Always felt like I needed to be a helper or supporter of people. Yes. Yeah. Okay, in my intuition circle is not open right now, but inside intuition circle, like I don't know another place on the planet or definitely online where we've created a group and we actually practice using our intuition on each other. Because if I just gave you tools right now, which are good, tools and techniques are good and they can create change. But if we don't practice our abilities on someone else, it's the fact, me practicing and using my abilities to help you is the fastest way for me to grow, me to get confidence, me to understand myself. There's no feeling of lack in that. It's a feeling of fulfillment. And I've created a space, safe, super grounded space with For you, after I teach you some techniques, we take turns and we practice with each other. It's the fastest way I know how to help you rise in self-worth, confidence, understanding about the way you're wired. That was just a side note. If the doors are closed right now, maybe I'll put the link at the top. You can get on the wait list if you're interested. Jossie says I need to get into that group stat. I'll put the link after this. I'll put the link above. Kelly says everything seems to hurt my heart. Yeah. Okay, Kelly. So this will be the last thing we talk about. I know I've gone over and all over the place, but I really wanted to talk about this. Okay, so Kelly, this will be the last thing. Let me just get into this for a second and double check that I'm saying the right thing to you. Okay. For you, Kelly, and this might be true for some of other people too. So if this resonates with you, trust that it has something to do for you too. Kelly, this feeling, it's everything seems to hurt my heart. There's some hurt there that needs to be addressed. There's you can call it a wound, a trauma, a sore. There's something in your heart that keeps getting triggered and you're feeling it as hurt. It's okay. Don't let it stop you. Just start here. There's something for me to look at. An old hurt is getting triggered, and I'm calling it a hurt in my heart. And that just keeps getting triggered. It just needs to be healed. It needs to be looked at and healed. Please reach out to me. You can message me on Facebook and I can maybe talk to you about that. We can't always see our own things. Like what you might know why it's there. If you do, great. And if you know how to heal that, great. If you can't see it and you don't know how to heal it, then you're going to need some help with that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I get help for myself. I can't see my own stuff. I hope that once you clear that, you'll be much more open and free and happy and light. And be ready to step into other things. I promise. That can be a weight that keeps you stuck. And we all have hurts in our heart. I promise it's part of being human. And it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, I said that was going to be the end, but I see a few more. Jossie says, you are giving me life. Kelly says, okay. Yeah, reach out to me, Kelly, if you think I can help you. Or if you know what it is, that's awesome too. Jackie says, I've been afraid to tell people about my gift because of where I am living. I finally decided to let go of the fear and start doing readings. Way to go, Jackie. So I will need to talk with my son about this gift he has that comes from my mother's maternal grandmother. How should I start a conversation with him about this topic? And I know you said more there, but I don't know if I can see it. Oh, she says, it's the first time here. Please forgive me if I'm overstepping. You're not. Always type in whatever you want. I can't read everybody's, but I saw yours. So your question is, how do I start a conversation with him about this topic? Well, here's the first thing I've learned, again, through my experience, and it works. Not everybody needs to know about your gift. Here's the best thing I ever did. I kept my gift quiet, and I found a group of people to study with and develop my gifts. I didn't tell my family and friends because I was so vulnerable, and I didn't even know if I had this gift that I thought I had, but I wasn't sure, because I had no one to compare it to. I was so vulnerable. I didn't want my family and friends asking me questions about it because I was so vulnerable, and I knew I would get sucked back into their beliefs. So I kept it quiet. Honestly, it was the best thing I ever did. I developed my abilities quietly with awesome people. I became strong and believed in myself. I gained my confidence. I believed in my gifts because I practiced. Then I told my family and friends, and I was strong enough to handle the objections. Does that make sense? I couldn't have handled the objections and my vulnerability when it was brand new to me because everything new is scary. So I waited, practiced, and then I came back and told people. Okay, so for you, Jackie, you have to think about, is it time to talk to your son about it? And then the next thing is, can you create something where the ball goes in his court? Like, like something like this, like, we're both sensitives. If you ever want to talk about this, I'm open to talking about it. Or, hey, do you understand what an empath is? Like, just some kind of conversation that doesn't make him answer. That it's just like the door is opened. You've spoken that the door is open and that you're ready to talk about this if he ever is. Does that make sense? There's so much, when the door just gets open, there's freedom for the person to show up as themselves. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Um, okay, I think that's it, everybody. I got lots of hearts. Thank you. Blessings to you. I'm gonna step into my power. I love how you say that. Yes, I've heard that for so many years and I didn't understand it. I'm getting it more and more now. Like, stepping into our power is us being us, honoring the way each one of us is wired, and like seeing that as I'm gonna cry. Seeing that as the gift it is. I see it in Intuition Circle, my other group. I see, I'm gonna cry. All those women, like, they're so unique, and I really hope they're seeing this too. They are seeing their uniqueness as the gift. Does that make sense? And that is true for me and you too. The way you are, the way you're wired, the you are right now is the gift to the world. That's it. And maybe this feeling of more is really just like us sharing that with the world, because that's exactly what the world needs. And when we do that, that creates fulfillment in us. I guess I could have started off that simple, but I didn't get to it till now. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Comment. I'll try to answer anything you ask me here. I'll make sure I keep an eye on it. I love all of you. Thank you for being here today. Thanks for being in our group. And please feel free to reach out to me if I can help you in any way. Have a great day. Bye.